Over the past 20 years, a lot of things have changed in the waterfowl world. Our standard of excellence isn't one of them. We have been proudly family owned and operated since 1999. GK calls. We don't want to be the biggest, just the best.
Hey folks, Mike Iaconelli here from Michiana Outdoor News. I want to talk to you about a really cool hot trend in the fishing industry, and it's called no motion fishing, no motion lures. You guys have heard about spy baiting, and this technique is a great alternative or addition to spy baiting. You know, if you don't want to spend 20, 30 bucks on a spy bait, if you're worried about losing it, this is a more economical version too. And in no motion fishing, really what we're trying to accomplish is we're trying to create a bait that moves very naturally in a non-threatened way. We've all been on the water and seen it. We've all been out there and we're going down a bank and we look down and we see a minnow or a shad or a shiner or an emerald, and he's just barely moving and he's by himself and he's non-threatened. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we see a bass rise up and whoom, scarf that bait. That's exactly what we're trying to emulate with this no motion technique. And in this no motion technique, it's a super simple setup. Basically we're going to start with the jig head, and we're going to use a jig head called a wacky jig head. A lot of different companies make them. This is a VMC wacky jig head. We're going to use a 1/16 to a 1/4 ounce depending on the depth and the wind. And we're going to get that wacky jig head, and we're not going to wacky rig a bait, but we're going to nose hook it. The next component is your plastic, and we're going to use a soft plastic minnow or fluke style bait. This is a Berkeley twitch tail minnow. There's a lot of other good ones on the market, and all we're going to do is we're going to get that wacky jig head and we're going to nose hook it. We're simply going to go through the nose of that bait and try to make that bait make a straight line. If you look at it, it looks almost too simple to be effective, and that's the key to this technique. And what we're going to do is we're going to get this bait, we're going to cast it out there, we're going to make a long cast, and we're going to count it down to the level of the fish. So if the fish are near the top of the water column, we're going to count it down 0 to 5 seconds. If they're in the middle of the water column, 5 to 10 seconds. If they're toward the bottom, a little bit longer. And all we're going to do is reel that thing straight in. About every 8 or 10 cranks, we're going to throw in a pause and keep it reeling in. And that bait is going to come through the water so subtly, very straight. Every once in a while it might kick. When you pause it, it'll flex down, but it's going to look exactly like that non-threatened forage that we've all seen in the water. This is the kind of bait, if you're fishing in clear water, if you're fishing with a lot of fishing pressure, if you get to your spot and there's 5, 10, 15 guys in front of you, perfect scenario. And a cold front situation, bluebird day, no wind, perfect way to catch them. If you're around fish, if you're having trouble catching them on that noisy, flashy stuff, try the no motion, soft minnow style bait, and you're going to catch more fish.